There was a time in my life not too long ago when I was pre-diabetic, extremely unhealthy, and feeling low energy all the time. I have to say, it's much more exciting knowing how to use food to live vibrantly, happy, and healthy every day. My name is Adam Hart, and I want to welcome you to the power of food. Right on, here we are, Power of Food Cooking Show. You may be wondering, well, where's the cooking? Today we're not going to be doing cooking. I'm actually going to be teaching you a little bit of a lesson from the Power of Food book. This is really for the power of foodies out there. Those of you who are really connecting with this message of wanting to feel better and wanting it to be easy to tap into that little bit extra level of energy. This is for you. I've been doing speaking engagements for 10 plus years now, spoken to thousands of people, a lot of corporations across Canada, just really helping with this idea of managing stress. But there's one thing more than anything else that most people want more of, and that one result is energy. So what I want to share with you right now is my kind of model philosophy around how I started to live with more energy. Many of you know my personal story right out of the book. I was pre-diabetic at 26. I was overweight, fresh fruit syndrome, so that was food allergies, apples, peaches, pears, plums, carrots, celery, suffering with depression, anxiety, a whole host of conditions that really were leaving me feeling extremely unhappy and unhealthy. So the model I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes is what I discovered and allowed me to really reverse all the ailments, cured my food allergies, got rid of the weight, got myself back on track with my cholesterol, and I believe that this could do that for you as well if you put some of this into action. So let's begin. The board here, I'm going to just highlight a little bit about what I'm going to share on the board, just a way for you to track as we go. But there's one secret around food that I discovered 15 years ago that I never grew up knowing. No one ever told me this. I didn't learn it from my teachers or from the media or anybody. And really it comes down to this idea. We really only live off of two types of food. That's it. Now, when I say that, what types of food do you think that are? Now, most people, they say, well, good and bad, Adam. It's either good food or bad food. And essentially, that is correct. It's either good or bad food. So let's just break that down a little bit. So if I put this scale here, on the bottom of the scale, this is the bad food. What would you maybe classify that as? What would you name that as? And I'm giving you a P as a hint. Now, P stands for processed food. Now, that's the food that's been broken down, it's been altered and transformed in some way, and for much of what we tend to consume has very little nutritional value. Yet we tend to want to count calories, but we're counting all the wrong calories because there's empty calories in a lot of those foods. So you think about that. What's the number one food or type of food that you eat most often? And a lot of us would say carbohydrates of some kind. So you think about your bread, you think about your cereal, your, let's say, even pizza, the pizza crust itself. This is all heavily processed food, pastas. So they're going to spike your insulin and give you a crash, leaving your body starving for more nutrients. So that's that process side. The other thing that I put down here that riles a lot of feathers is that guy. That's the meat side of things. And to make this even easier to understand, meat I classify in one basket altogether: chicken, eggs, pork, fish, turkey, dairy, lamb. That's all the meat under one basket. Well, Adam, do you eat any of that? Well, yeah, I do. I still eat some of that, but it's not what dominates my diet. My diet was once dominated by processed food and heavy meat consumption, which created a lot of acidity in my body, to now where I've kind of not eliminated this, but I've transferred most of my diet up to this area here. So let's take a peek here for a minute. Let's put another P up there. And if that's another P, what do you think that stands for? Now, in my world, it's all about plants. Now, the more I eat plants, the better I feel. So what I've discovered is that I didn't have to give up this diet at all. I just had to learn, well, what are some of these beautiful plant-based foods that I can start to add into this diet that are going to help me have more energy? Because that's all I wanted, more energy, more energy. So essentially in this world, and I talk about it in the Power of Food, there's 6 plant-based foods. That's it. This, again, is to break it down and make it very easy to understand this concept so that when you walk in the grocery store, you know a direct difference between this guy and how it's going to impact you on your own personal symptoms. So, 6 plant-based foods. So we got now I'm just giving you the first letter of those, but this stands for, and this category here is the one that gets mentioned last. And for me, this is the key area that starts to impact us in a positive way down here. So let's start down here. So the F and the V, pretty obvious, fruits and vegetables. All right, then we have legumes, so beans, lentils, and peas, and grains. And then on the top we have nuts and seeds. Seeds being, and those of you who know my work, hemp seeds is the #1 food that I have been playing with this model for 15 years now. #1 way I stabilize my blood sugar, by adding in hemp seeds into everything I eat. So what I've done for my own, I say sometimes that I'm selfish this way. I just want to live with more energy. I want to feel good. So as I've played with my own energy in relationship to food, I've discovered some of the key ones within this world that have managed to impact me in a positive way. I highlight them all inside the Power of Food book. So there's 24 of these foods. Each one of these is broken down in fun, creative ways on how to engage them. But it's really important to understand the model. The model is don't eliminate, just start adding from this world. So here's the key. I started to follow what I call, and many of you have heard this before, but the 80-20 rule. Now, for sure, for business and other contexts, that has a certain meaning. But for me, what would you think that means, the 80-20 rule? Now, if you said that 80% of my diet comes from plants, you'd be right, which means 20% comes from this world. I could still eat, I still go to the bar, I still go to the House Sound Brew Pub, I'll still have pizza and eat and drink beer, but it doesn't dominate my diet like it once did. So, what's the big problem with this number, though, in North America? Can you figure that one out? It's reversed. Right? So 20% of our diet is coming from beautiful plants, 80% is coming from this world, and yet we are all suffering with symptoms, fatigue, lack of quality sleep, you name it. All these symptoms are a communication point for you to get it more in touch with how food can impact your energy level in a very positive way. Now, the great thing about it is you don't have to change this at all. All you need to do is start tracking a little bit about how much of this you actually consume, and start thinking, how can I start adding some of these into my current diet without changing this, that is going to give you a different response. And that's the critical piece. As I started to add some of these foods in, the first thing I noticed, yes, energy is one of them, but it wasn't the energy that really started to create this big shift for me. It was cravings. Because we essentially live off of 3 main macronutrients: the fat, protein, carbohydrates. Those are the 3. So you automatically crave the dominant source you feed it. So if you grow up eating all meat, so let's say red meat, being most of us main source of protein, you're automatically going to crave meat as your food source because you need protein. Now, if you start to introduce some plant-based sources of protein that are easier on your body for digestion purposes, what do you think you're going to notice? And if you said cravings shift, that's exactly right. One, you're going to get more energy for sure, but your cravings are going to start to shift to the point where you're not going to be craving as much meat because you're getting your protein from a source that's easier on your body for digestion. Now, if something is easier for you to digest, what's the corresponding result? Energy, because it takes energy to digest whatever you eat. So it just makes sense to me when I started to explore this, and mainly using hemp seeds, hemp hearts, same thing, as my main source of protein. My craving shifted. I didn't crave steak and meat at every meal anymore, and all of a sudden my acidity went away. I was no longer living off of antacids like I had for so many years, and I started to have more vibrancy about me. So again, I'm not saying to eliminate, I'm just saying let's start focusing on some of these beautiful plant-based foods, which I've been sharing with you in all the Power of Food cooking shows that you've hopefully been watching. If not, get on YouTube and start watching those because it's powerful stuff. When you start to introduce these plant-based foods, they impact you in such a beautiful way that you then can learn how to do it for yourself, which then means you can start to share it with your family and your loved ones. So what do you got to do next? Grab yourself a copy of The Power of Food. Without a doubt, that's the smartest thing I can highly recommend. But on the back of that, you're going to notice what I have there. It's called the 80-20 Journal. Now, the 80-20 Journal is a place where you could start to track your progress using this model, right? So all you're doing is you're going to be listing out, hopefully you do this for a couple days, and if you want, email me. Email me at adam@poweroffood.com. Again, adam@poweroffood.com, and I'll send you this document. So you don't have to buy the book. I highly recommend you do. But I'll send you the document just so you can print out a couple pages, and every day all you're going to do is you're going to start to track all the foods that you ate and giving yourself a check mark or an X based on whether it is a plant-based food or a processed food. So think about it. If you wake up in the morning, you have cereal. Most cereal heavily processed, so you get an X for your cereal. But now you added in some hemp seeds, you added in some almonds, you added some blueberries. Now you've got 3 check marks. All of a sudden now you get to the end of the day of your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and all your snacks, and you're going to notice how much you actually eat that's based on this and based on this. And I guarantee you, you start to track this, you're going to notice how you have the power to start to shift your symptoms to be more supportive for you living a more vibrant, energized life. So if you want that, I highly recommend you check it out. Email me at adam@powerfood.com. I'll send you that journal. You can get started. But this model worked for me, and I've been living by it every day since. And I look forward to hearing how you use it to improve your energy levels and then share it with others. So thanks for joining me, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.